risk these actors getting COVID for this during Black History Month? Are you kidding me? I morally object to the idea of men, and Malcolm is the reason why. People like Malcolm. Hi, I'm Mo. So today is going to be a review of Malcolm and Marie featuring the stunning, the beautiful, the amazing Zendaya. The only reason I watched this movie was for Zendaya, let's just be clear. She was a part of my queer awakening. She's just phenomenal. She's a great actress. She's why I watched Euphoria, etc., etc. This is a movie starring just two actors, Zendaya and John David Washington. This film takes place in the aftermath of Malcolm's big, directorial debut. The film that he makes is loosely based on Marie's life, as we, learn throughout the film. And, Marie had a big part in this film. But when he was doing his acceptance speech for whatever award he won for the film, he forgot to thank Marie. That's the conflict that the movie is centered on. Let me just say I was already biased against this film before I started watching it, just based on the casting. We have John David Washington, who is like 20 years older than Zendaya, who is a couple years older than me. It's weird. It makes me uncomfortable. I hate it every time I see it. But I decided to watch again just for Zendaya. Yeah, no, I don't think I should have watched this film. It made me very angry throughout the entire thing. I'm going to preface this video with a content warning. If you have issues with verbal abuse, just verbally abusive relationships, period, but romantic relationships specifically, you might not want to watch this review because that is mostly what this film is about. You might also not want to watch the film. So yeah, I just want to preface this video with that content warning because we are not in the business of purposefully triggering people over here. It starts off and, Marie is clearly angry that Malcolm didn't thank her, and he automatically goes to calling her crazy, goes to calling her, oh, you always trying to find something wrong, you're always trying to this, you're always trying to that, using very non-constructive language, and she's running away from the argument. She's literally says, we are not going to have a constructive argument about this tonight, so let's just talk about it in the morning. He's just like, no, let's talk about it, I can't go to bed if you're upset at me. And then when she says why she's upset, get this, he gaslights her, he calls her crazy, he says all kinds of things about her. And that's basically the entire film, folks. That's literally the entire film. There's a couple reasons I'm talking about this film. One, while I was watching it, I was thinking, man, this would be a great film to review. Two, I think it highlights perfectly everything I hate about men. Literally everything I hate about men. I'm wearing my man repellent makeup today, Let's go. So here's how this video is going to be organized. I'm going to talk about all the good things in this film. I'm going to do a character analysis of Malcolm and Marie. And then I'm going to talk about the message of this film because listen, what was the message? What was the message? It was... but we'll get there. We'll get there. All the good things about this film, the cinematography, oh my goodness. This film was shot. Baby, this film was shot. Shot by shot. Every shot felt very intentional. The cinematography was beautiful. It was a beautiful black and white that didn't make you wish it wasn't in black and white. It's a very purposeful colors, very purposeful camera angles and orientations, and I'm not a film major, so I can't talk about that in depth, but it was just beautiful. It was a very beautiful film. Costuming, again, very beautiful. Basically very beautiful film. Another thing I liked about Malcolm and Marie is the acting. Oh my god, we know Zendaya can act, but sis is acting her ass off in this film. Very subtle movements, very subtle changes in behavior. My partner went to an acting conservatory, and so when they talk about these things, I really start to see it more in the world, and I definitely see it in this film. Changes in subtle behavior that are very impressive to me as someone who only knows about acting stuff through my partner. John David Washington also, I don't think his character has a lot of range. But the range that his character does have, he's acting it. He's acting it. Yep. Check acting. Honestly, I think that's I think that's where the good... Oh, another good thing about this film. I think that's where the good things stop outside of the character analysis. So we'll move on. So let's talk about Malcolm. Malcolm is a filmmaker. Okay, he will not... He wants everybody to know he's a filmmaker. And he just wants to say something. You can tell his character is desperate to make a good film, even though he puts on this kind of front that he's not really caring. Through his interactions with Marie and the way that he reacts to criticism, you can really tell that deep down, even though he never says it, even though he actively denies it, he's someone who really cares about what people think. Through Marie, we learned that Malcolm is someone that comes from a privileged background. His mom was a therapist and his dad was a professor. He grew up with a two-parent household, and he has a college education, as Marie emphasizes. But as a black filmmaker, he kind of occupies this position in his field where people expect a black story out of him, you know, even though he might not have the experience to tell the stories that the people around him expect him to tell. And so with this film that he produced, that's kind of centering Marie's experience and his experiences with other people's addictions, you can tell that he's kind of insecure about the fact that he is not someone who is an authority on the material that he's portraying. And Marie points that out to him in their arguments, and he just kind of, it goes in one ear and out the other. That's something that he does a lot throughout his conversations with Marie. She says something about how what he said makes her feel, and it goes in one ear, out the other, and then he says another thing that makes her feel like shit. That he ooh, you want to talk about Malcolm? Oh my God, Malcolm is a master manipulator and gaslighter. Why is he a master at it? Because he starts with absolute denial. He denies everything Marie is saying. He never gives her a chance to explain herself completely. And when she approaches him calmly, he always escalates. That is the playbook of how to effectively manipulate and gaslight someone into ending an argument. That's how all of their arguments go throughout the film. And that's why this film was so hard for me to watch. I literally stopped the film with 30 minutes left and I was like, I can't do this. I cannot watch anymore. And then I thought about it and I was like, I really do want to make a video about this, so let me just finish the fucking film. But it is not something that is fun to watch. If you have experience being gaslighted, being manipulated, being in a manipulative, abusive, emotionally abusive relationship, you probably don't want to watch Malcolm and Marie, because most of the film are these arguments that are full of manipulation tactics from Malcolm. So that's just a content warning. If you were thinking of watching this film, maybe you have that experience and it's triggering for you, do not. Just don't. Because the messaging isn't even like clear at the end. Like when it ends, it's just not clear like what you were supposed to get out of it. And so it's one thing to portray this manipulation and gaslighting and say, oh, this is bad at the end. It's another thing to portray it and then have a character say it's bad, but then the character stays with the other character. That's I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, Malcolm's basically just a gaslighter. That's his entire character. And it's clear that his gaslighting comes from a place of insecurity. He's really easy to read. Now let's talk about Marie. Malcolm met Marie when she was in her 20s, which is something that's interesting to me. I would be interested in how old their characters are currently. I really am. 'Cause it's giving suspicious. It's giving, are they the ages that their actors are? If that's not clear, you gotta tell us. Are they 10 years apart? Are they 20 years apart? I want to know, because that's just uncomfy. Like, I need to know. I need to know. What we learned about Marie is not as much as we learn about Malcolm, but we know that she's from an underprivileged background. We don't know exactly, the extent, but she ended up becoming a drug addict in her 20s. And so her addiction is something that the film kind of revolves around in a really weird way. I think it's strange how Malcolm and Marie kind of boils Marie's character down to the drug addict that is in a relationship with the filmmaker. We don't get a lot of characterization of her character, which is unfortunate because it's fucking Zendaya, but whatever. Zendaya gives us what we need to be gave with the little crumbs that she's given. Always. But yeah, we don't really get a lot of characterization of Marie, which I'm going to take as a criticism of the film.
It's editing Mo. I want to clarify what I mean by not getting a lot of characterization of Marie. For one, a lot of what Marie says throughout the film is always in reaction to what Malcolm is saying to her. She's always either defending herself or trying to say something that she's been wanting to say, but saying it in a subtle way. And it's like, I understand wanting to portray this very cautious character, this very anxious, avoidant kind of character who can't really say what they want to say because of the relationship they're in. But it would have been nice to get some moment, some glimpse of a Marie that is not in reaction to the verbal abuse that she's receiving from Malcolm. I think that would have been a nice choice. I think it could have taken the film to another level, and I would have maybe felt something other than anger at Malcolm, and pity for Marie, because Marie is definitely a character that would not want to be pitied. That's the one thing that I understand about her. I think I also forgot to mention that Marie is an actress and she wanted to audition for the main role in the film that's basically about her life, but Malcolm was kind of discouraging her from doing that. We get the idea that he was dropping subtle hints and being kind of the way that he is, and discouraging her from auditioning for the role. So yeah, just some clarity there.
I think the film would have been more interesting if we had gotten more of Marie's voice intertwined in some way. I think the film does a really good job at intertwining a lot of Malcolm's backstory throughout the film. Not even just when they're having arguments, but when, he's monologuing to Marie. That's just something he does. He likes to talk at Marie and not to her. He likes to scream at Marie, but not to her, he'll be talking about a film critic and he is yelling. He's belligerently yelling at Marie, but it's not directed towards Marie, so Marie just giggles. Just personally, that kind of environment scares me. I would never want to be in a situation in which you ever just fucking scream at me. And I don't think that's okay. I had an ex scream at me once, and I was like, go home, leave. That's not what we're about to do. That's just not. And he got all started, and I was like, bro, you're acting like a fucking toddler. But that's another time. That's for another time. I morally object to the idea of men, and Malcolm is the reason why. People like Malcolm because men like Malcolm are a lot of men. I would say most men have a lot of characteristics just like Malcolm, because that is what maleness is comprised of. I don't think straight people think critically about gender enough, and often what their gender ends up being are all the characteristics that Malcolm has. At one point in the film, Malcolm is reading a criticism by this white lady at the LA Times, and one of her criticisms is that from his male gaze, from his male perspective, he sexualizes one of his characters in a way that kind of takes away from the message that he's trying to send. And he responds to that criticism. He says, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And then he starts screaming at Marie. And I think that scene is so fucking ironic. He's screaming at Marie over a criticism he got from a white woman. And he's acting like a fucking toddler. And that scene is what his maleness boils down to. Going back to talking about Marie, what I really like about the film is the way that the ways in which Marie is able to sneak her criticisms in. It kind of illustrates the position that Marie is in by showing us the ways that she's able to give Malcolm criticism without being verbally abused in response. And she's telling a joke. That's the only time that, Malcolm doesn't start calling her a fuck up or saying that she's only good for her authenticity, or that the endless insults that he throws at Marie throughout the film. She's also able to criticize him when she's about to go down on him. That's it. Those are the two types of situations in which Marie is able to not be verbally abused by Malcolm. If she keeps her mouth shut about something, he pulls it out of her. And then he verbally abuses her for having a problem. If she says up front what's going on, he verbally abuses her and calls her crazy, calls it bullshit. If she asks him a question, a neutral question, he calls it a bullshit question, doesn't answer the question, calls her crazy, and then whatever other kind of verbal abuse towards her. She literally can't win. And so at the end of the film, when she was about to go down on him, and then she refuses him sex, and then she's able to give him this full criticism. She explains that she's at a point where she's just like, I'm realizing that this is the best you can give me. This is the best that you can give me. That fucking sucks. And I love that for Marie. I love that for Marie. What I don't love for Marie is that at the end of the film, she didn't leave his ass. Like, if I had to sit through a film of verbal abuse, the least you could give me is that she left him. That's it. Like, that. Don't play a song about love and hate at the end of it. No, love is not hate. They're two different things. Contrary to popular belief, you might have your love drive switched with your death drive, but I don't, okay? I'm in a loving relationship. I know what a loving relationship looks like. It doesn't look like verbal abuse. It doesn't look like fucking saying you'd snap somebody in half. That is not love. That is just not love. And throughout the film, we see Marie questioning whether or not this is love, whether or not someone who loves her would do these things to her. I can tell you the answer. No, it's not. He doesn't love you. He doesn't love you, at least in the way that he thinks he loves you. And you do not have to stand for that kind of treatment. You don't have to question. If someone loves you, you don't have to question whether or not they actually love you. If someone loves you, it's going to show in the way that they treat you. And that's the part of this film that's going to the message of this film. It's really hard to tell what the message is. We have Marie defending herself. We have Marie standing up for herself in this relationship. But at the same time, we have Malcolm verbally abusing her the entire time and her taking it. Her going towards him and trying to patch things up after he just said he would snap her like a twig. Really? What is the message of this film? I really want to know, because it's very muddy. If this film was trying to illustrate what verbal abuse looks like, that's all they fucking did. If this film was trying to say that verbal abuse is bad, I guess they said that. Because Marie says it's bad. The fact that she stays with him at the end, What do you think you're saying in your film? When the last song in the film is a song about love and hate are sometimes the same line? Are you kidding me? I don't remember the fucking lyrics, but it put such a bad taste in my mouth. That final scene, that final shot of Malcolm walking up to Marie because she got out of bed in the middle of the night because she's probably fucking mentally exhausted and full of mental anguish at this situation that she's found herself in. The man that loves her verbally abuses her all fucking night after she just wanted a thank you for supporting him and helping him create this film. He wakes up and she's not next to him. And then he goes out and finds her. And then they're standing next to each other. What is the message of that shot? Please tell me. Because I know what my final shot, if I had made this movie, my final shot would have been a suitcase. Okay? A suitcase. I think what this film also tends to do is minimize the impact of verbal abuse. Like, it's always Marie that has to stand up for herself and argue back at him and explain to him why he shouldn't be verbally abusing him. No, like I said earlier, my ex yelled at me once. And I said, "Ma'am, you're leaving. There's the door. Can you use your words? Are you a fucking monkey? Are you a toddler? What is this? Beating on your chest like a gorilla? Get the fuck out." That's the only response that Marie is required to give. All of this arguing back and forth, her telling him how much he is hurting her, and him hurting her again. What are we watching? What is the point here? If you're just trying to depict a verbally abusive relationship, you did that. Congratulations. Now what? What are we supposed to get out of this? During Black History Month? Are you kidding me? During a pan queso? Absolutely not. You risk these actors getting COVID for this? Come on. Come on. Zendaya might have gotten COVID for this. Come on. Get this foolishness. Foolishness. Come on. I think I said everything I have to say about this film. I give it an E for effort, but not enough effort. It's 2021, ma'am. You gotta try harder. I wish I had hate watched this film. I really do. Because then I would not be this upset right now. I didn't expect to hate this film as much as I hate it. I guess that's all I have to say about Malcolm and Marie. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, if you have anything else you want me to review, comment down below. Hit the like, subscribe, do all that jazz. Yeah. See you in the next one.